in Philadelphia. The Dodgers wrap up their 3-game series in Philadelphia tonight. Somebody in the Miami Heat social media department got a little excited about the possibility of LeBron rejoining the team as a free agent. An announcement was displayed Tuesday on the Heat's YouTube channel promoting a LeBron introductory press conference on July 27th. The staff person created the post to have it ready just in case LeBron picks the Heat. Apparently, the person hit the wrong button and the post went public. The post was visible for about an hour before it was deleted. No word yet on whether the person still has a job with the Heat. The Heat, Golden State, Philadelphia, and Cleveland are the top contenders to sign LeBron. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let me put my hard hat on, go back outside, and see if these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews have shown up yet. I'm saving space for grace, but if these trucks don't show up soon, well, you already know. Destination Crenshaw, your time is up. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 and Bethesda Temple Church invite residents, churches, businesses, and community leaders along the Crenshaw corridor to join a vitally important community conversation Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. For years now, this community has been living with unkept promises and the devastating effects of the unfinished Destination Crenshaw construction project, leaving residents, businesses, and churches to deal with myriad problems, including the loss of parking, restricted access, traffic congestion, and a lack of emergency vehicle access when it matters most. For years now, Procrastination Crenshaw has directly contributed to the loss of customer revenue for local black-owned businesses and, sadly, has forced the closure of some businesses along this 1.3-mile corridor. For years now, churches have been experiencing decreased attendance due to the elimination of parking, and social service programs for vulnerable fellow citizens have been altogether halted. For years now, residents have watched their quality of life erode, and nothing has been done about it. If they think they can get away with treating black folk like second-class citizens, they better think again.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me.
This town hall meeting is a reckoning, a public witness, an opportunity for impacted community members to share their experiences for the public record as we prepare to hold those responsible accountable for this enduring nightmare. So please join us Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. This town hall meeting is free and open to the public, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Do you know the devil? Have you ever met the devil? It's so hot and got me bothered. It's so hard for me to let go of the world that's on my shoulders. I can barely lift the boulders, rising tension, reminiscing. I remember being soldier. 2008 was special. I was dancing with the devil. I was friendly with the demons. Every heart it got me sinking. Racing thoughts is catching up to me. Don't know what I was thinking. Devil came to keep me company this weekend. Hell. Hell, 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 me, please. Come on. Hell, 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 me, please. Have you seen my soul?
KBLA Talk 1580. Oh my, oh my. The Trump administration is cracking down further on journalism, cracking down further on activism, and Why do I keep talking about this? I mean, I've got good news and I've got bad news, is what I always say. I talk about it partly because it's my job to be on the press and talking about things that this administration does not want you to talk about, right? Things that this administration doesn't want you to talk about. Oh my. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm always talking about this. But the other reason is because we, the people, do make a difference here, right? We are the customers and consumers of said press. And so when we push back, it does help. And the third reason is because I just want us to be aware to the extent that these mainstream media, these mainstream media outlets are being controlled, threatened, pressured, influenced by Brendan Carr, who is the Republican leader of the Federal Communications Commission, and by the Trump administration directly, right? And so that's where we are looking forward to having the conversation about this and other items. But this issue of how do we maintain a free press when we have more and more consolidation of the press, and despite the talking point that our media is liberal, it turns out that if you scratch beneath the talking point, you find that most U.S. media is owned by far right-wing or mildly right-wing conservatives, right? I always say it, Larry Ellison and David Ellison, the pro-Netanyahu Trump donors own TikTok. Now they own CBS, Paramount. They are trying to buy Warner Brothers, which means they would own CNN. The only reason that hasn't happened yet is because U.S. attorneys general, 12 of them, sued to stop the Warner Brothers merger. Now, will it eventually happen? I don't know. But it's shut down for now because of U.S. states attorney generals suing on antitrust grounds. Okay? And now also the Directors Guild of America has jumped in. So a judge has paused that merger. That's a temporary pause. And we'll talk about all of these things that are happening in the press environment, what it means, and how we can push back when we come forward. Shar Jossell of the National Association of Black Journalists joins me next on KBLA Talk 1580.
Where the overlooked become unmissable, this is KBLA Talk 1580.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including Mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County Sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. a place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-550-9651.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique Diprima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. I do thank you. I thank you for being here. And I wanted to start off talking about the press and what is happening with the press. I've never seen it in my lifetime, and we just so happen to have someone who's not only a member of said press, but also a bit of an expert in this area. She's an award-winning journalist, a media personality, and a writer. And though she does arts entertainment, she also writes on intersections of gender, politics, race, pop culture. She's been on the Huffington Post, TMZ, Fox Soul, BuzzFeed, Essence, Variety, etc., etc. Shar Jossell, welcome.
Hi, good morning.
And also you're a leader at the National Association of Black Journalists.
Yes, I'm the current president.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. And
thank you.
You know, I have done events with NABJ. I've never been a member for whatever reason, but it was never a protest. I just never got around to it, kind of thing. But I'm really proud of you guys and just the way you guys have been showing up in this very hostile media environment that we're in.
Thank you for that. You know, it has not been easy. This has been something that, particularly within these past 2 or 3 years, that has been a little all over the place and a little unpredictable, but we are hanging in there and doing our good work.
Yeah. And when you see, we'll rewind a little bit, but when you see CBS, YouTube, I can't remember what others, there's a long list of media outlets that have given millions of dollars to the president because he threatened them about their coverage. And basically the dismantling of 60 Minutes on CBS. What do you think when you see that?
It's scary. I get very, it makes me sad, as someone who was once a champion and a believer in more corporatized media. It shines a light on, in my view at least, something that's a little bit darker. And I don't know if the damage that's being done with corporate media, if they will be able to regain the trust of the public moving forward, because there's no pushback. There's very little accountability. I have to applaud ABC for what they're doing. They're being threatened right now, with Brendan Carr and the FCC with their licensing, because they are challenging the current president and his cronies in this administration. And so, yeah, I think that it compromises and jeopardizes future trust with the public when networks and publications bend the knee in that way, where it's like, wow, okay, you're not even trying to hide it, that all of these conglomerates and all of these mergers, they're unethical. And sometimes when you lean so biased, oftentimes when you lean so biased and you're not presenting the news in a fair and balanced way, it just compromises the integrity of the entire thing, and it bleeds into everything. Every journalist, everybody affiliated with the network, it makes me scratch my head.
That's a really good point. I mean, we talk a lot about whether the press will survive and whether they have any objectivity. Those are the most common questions. But whether or not anyone's going to even listen to them is a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Because we are getting more and more of our news from social media at our own peril, in a way.
Yeah, yeah. And oftentimes it's at our own peril because you don't know. We talk about this a lot within NABJLA. We just had our June general body meeting last month that was discussing like influencers versus journalists and like finding like that hybrid about like how influencers can learn ethics from journalists and how journalists can learn personal branding from influencers. So yeah,
personal branding and how to not be boring.
Yes, yes. But we had people that were from like traditional news where there's like certain contracts and certain things you can say and certain things you can do. But yeah, it's really rough right now because a lot of people do not know the difference between the two or the rising popularity of opinion journalism. And so, yeah, social media is a gift and a curse when it comes to independent media, for sure.
I mean, to be clear, in the journalist world, the traditional journalist world, I'm not talking mainstream, I'm talking the way we were taught journalism in school.
Right.
You can do opinion, you can write an editorial and still be able to deliver unbiased news, or even if it's unbiased, fair news.
Right.
And that's how I was trained. So I can be on here talking about the resident, of the United States and talking smack 1 minute. And then when I read you the news, I'm going to give you the facts. But right now, do you think that that most people understand the difference between opinion and news?
No. And I think that it is directly linked to the literacy crisis currently in the United States. And I also think that because of social media, we have shifted into a hot take culture. So people, I'm sure, are tuning into your show to hear you deliver the news, but they also want to know what you think about it.
Right.
Like, it's the cult of personality, so to speak. That is what seems to be, nourishing the appetite of the American people right now. So it's a totally different landscape than what we were trained in.
But what I'm trying to argue is that you can do both.
Yes, you can.
I've been doing it forever. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Cult of personality. They like someone that cuts up. All right, I'm happy to cut up. Right, go off. But at the same time, back to what you were saying about contracts.
Yeah.
Those contracts, when you reference things you can and cannot do, what we're talking about is the journalistic standards of wherever you work. So explain what that looks like.
Correct. I know that, like, for example, we had someone on our panel last month who works at the local NBC station here in Los Angeles, and she was saying that there's just certain things she can't do. Like, she basically anything that she does for socials has to be approved through the news director and station heads before it goes up, and that's even like within her personal life. Right. Even with certain, like, she can't even say what makeup she's wearing. There are just certain rules, like you can't endorse, like, I love this powder from Clinique or whatever. And so it's just different rules. And I think that news stations are a bit behind when it comes to that. When it comes to the hybrid, like, you're a lot of times requiring reporters and news anchors or encouraging them to have a social media presence, have a social media presence. But then there are these balls and chains and these gates that are being kept from them showing the true nature of their personality.
Right. They want you to have socials, but they won't let you be popular.
Right. Don't get too popular.
You have to be boring.
Right.
But supposedly those types of restrictions are meant to protect the journalistic integrity and the image of the station and the outlet. And so that's where it's rooted in. But then when you come to influencers and hot takers and opinion journalists, they have none of those restrictions, right?
They do not have any of those. And to your point, these anchors and reporters, they are extensions of the network, of the publication. When you're an influencer and an independent journalist, you can literally do whatever you want to do. But then you also have to be aware if we've seen examples of Elon Musk and people of that ilk coming after independent journalists and reporters legislatively and legally. And so it's like we really have to watch what we say and do, even in the name of truth, because are you prepared to deal with the lawsuit because they're splitting hairs about something that you said?
Yeah.
And so it's something to really examine, and I think that we are at an inflection point in journalism right now. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I don't know what the next 3 to 5 years will look like for the industry as a whole.
So when you say inflection point, are you saying we may be returning to sort of a more structured system of journalism,
No.
or we don't, or anything goes? Maybe the old system is gone forever.
Yeah.
I've argued to myself that that the lines between entertainment and journalism are almost completely gone at this point.
For sure. I think Fox News definitely helped usher in the infotainment style reporting. And then we have shows like Abby Phillip on CNN. We have The View. We are really in a hot take ecosystem right now. And I think that there's been so much distrust sown amongst the public and with consumers that I don't think we'll ever return to what we once knew in the face of journalism.
Well, and I guess if there is a silver lining to that, it's the fact that black consumers of news and journalism have always turned to what they call trusted messengers,
right?
Which is people that have been down in our community. We know what they're talking about.
Yep.
And so in a way, for those of us who have been doing this for 100 years, or those of you who have been doing it forever, however many years you've been doing it, which is not
like
100.
20,
okay,
maybe?
yeah, because you're much younger than I am. That's actually an advantage for us.
Yes.
Because our listeners are going to tune out the noise to an extent. Our readers are going to say, okay, well, what is Shar Jossell saying? What is Dominique Diprima saying?
Right.
Because it's just too many hot takes.
Yeah. Yeah, but we have to sift through a lot of different things. And I think the consumers, we are doing, and when I say we, I don't mean journalists per se. I just think that it's part of the greater American landscape that there's a disservice when it comes to literacy and confirmation bias. Because a lot of people within the hot take or within the opinion journalism, they are looking, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, for confirmation bias. If they think that one group of people is terrible or one group of people is responsible for them not getting their golden goose in life, that's what they're going to want to, that literally a byproduct of Fox News. We see this with Fox News. Right. That is how they have developed their audience and fan base. If you believe that the black woman across the street driving the Mercedes-Benz is the reason why, you're on food stamps, you're going to seek out sources that confirm that, not challenge that.
And that's what confirmation bias
exactly.
is. And that is a good point. But it's also the reason why, we have to get more media literacy. I feel like wherever the media goes in the next 2, 3, 5 years, the consumer of media, which is me and you, but also everyone else that's not a journalist, they've got to learn how to read between the headlines. They've got to learn how to figure it out, because it's just information overload.
Yeah, and we're up against AI as well. I talk to my parents, my aunts, my uncles every day, because this technology is moving faster than we are. And, the videos and the content, it is becoming like I've had to pause. Like, I've been fooled by things like kitten videos, and it's like, that's AI, like those little cute kittens, that's AI. And so we are in over our heads right now, because there's no regulation on any of that stuff. So we're in over our heads.
And that part, see, that's the other thing. Aside from the fact, and there's other things I want to get into, but aside from the fact that newsrooms have these strict things for their reporters, and they claim that they're objective. I don't think they are. I think we can only see the world through our eyes. But at least they're trying to be fair. You got to be fair. And at the same time, not only hot take people can say anything, the actual internet doesn't have an FCC.
Right.
If you're a radio person or a TV person, you've got to deal with the Federal Communications Commission. They can fine you. They can take your license, which is what you were talking about with ABC. YouTube doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And
if
IG
you're doing
doesn't have
independent
that.
radio, look at Rush Limbaugh and the cult following he had, Alex Jones and InfoWars. Like, these people are not, if you've got your website and your audience, you can say and do whatever you want to for the most part.
Should that change? Will that change? I mean, will we regulate information, news and information on the internet?
You know what? I hope so, because I do wonder where we're going to go, like, as far as like news networks. How are they vetting sources? Like, I feel like it's an extra step now. Like, how do you break news and make sure that the video that's sent to the station is real? Like, how are you vetting that? I also think of Nolan Wells, the black teen that died in Mississippi a few weeks ago. there was an AI video of his mom that was not real, and so it's like, while she's simultaneously, and while this community is grieving the loss of this young boy, they're also having to come out and say, hey, that's not me. And when I saw a clip of the video, it looks hyper realistic, and she's like sitting at a table.
That video.
Oh, it's hyper realistic, and she's like, I've decided I'm not going to have a funeral for my son. And it's very measured, and it doesn't seem stoic, or like, to the naked eye, if you don't know, then it's enough to raise eyebrows.
And why?
I think it's part of the attention economy, because like, you can create that video and take it to Meta, and because there's no checks and balances at Meta, you can get a check from that. It's going to circulate. It's going to go viral, whether it's people like you and I calling it out, or people spreading it. Like, oh my gosh, why would his mom not? Like, you're going to generate income from that. And I think, on platforms like Meta, on platforms like X, that is what's encouraging people to be bad faith actors in the journalism ecosystem, and it's interrupting and messing up so much. And so I do wonder, I am a little fearful as we move forward, what that looks like, especially particularly with everything going on in this current administration, because I think it's going to take a while to get us back on track, or to get some semblance of normalcy that we once knew.
I mean, the fact that The View is being investigated for not giving equal time politically, but Fox News isn't. It make sense.
And beyond The View, there are local ABC stations that are on the chopping block. Like my local back home, WLS, which is Chicago's ABC affiliate. It's like, you have until July 29th, scan this QR code, and, like, as a fan, like, let the FCC know how much you appreciate your local ABC station. And I'm like, well, if they take ABC off of, in Chicago, if Channel 7 isn't ABC, what are they going to replace it with? Like, what then will it be?
News, Newsmax.
Or, oh my goodness.
Because right now there's a couple of outlets that make Fox News look almost liberal. Which is wild.
And a couple of independent, I won't even call them journalists. They are, I guess, thought leaders or opinion hosts that are on the fringes that they do make Fox News look moderate or liberal with some of their, when I think of Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, and I don't want to give them airtime here, but there's certain personalities that have a chokehold on those airwaves. Even the likes of Megyn Kelly, who built up a trusted audience. Like, this woman is an attorney and was a host, and we saw what happened with NBC, and now she is, totally rogue, doing her own thing, but saying the most. Every time I see a clip of her saying something, it is the most like fringe, like, what happened to her? Like, she's always been compromised, but it's like, these people are jumping off the deep end.
Right. And so, and we can talk about this when we come forward. You got news, traffic, and sports right here. Don't get me started on the Black Information Network. I might lose my job. But look, the question of how is the internet regulated? Are these public utilities? Are they public airwaves? Shouldn't they have to follow rules just like other purveyors of information? We'll talk about that and more. Shar Jossell is here. I'm Dominique Diprima, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique Diprima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York City officials say 4 people have died in a Legionnaire's disease outbreak on the Upper East Side, with 76 reported cases. Mayor Zohran Mamdani is reacting.
I'm heartbroken by the loss of our fellow New Yorkers and send my deepest condolences to their loved ones.
Health officials say cooling towers linked to the bacteria have been disinfected, and no new cases have been reported since July 15th. Historic Shiloh Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. has welcomed Reverend Essentino A. Lewis Jr. as its new senior pastor. Lewis now becomes the 7th senior pastor of the landmark church, a longtime fixture in civil rights and community advocacy. And social media influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate are facing newly unsealed sex trafficking, rape, and assault charges in Florida tied to allegations from women in the United Kingdom. British authorities are seeking their extradition. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Beat the heat without breaking the bank at Wild Rivers Water Park in Irvine. Summer's hottest days mean the coolest savings at wildrivers.com. With 25 attractions to thrill and chill, Wild Rivers delivers sun and fun for everyone. Visit wildrivers.com for more information.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A two-run homer by Dodgers third baseman Max Muncy was enough for the Dodgers to squeeze out a 2-1 win Tuesday night in Philadelphia. The Dodgers wrap up their three-game series in Philadelphia tonight. Somebody in the Miami Heat social media department got a little excited about the possibility of LeBron rejoining the team as a free agent. An announcement was displayed Tuesday on the Heat's YouTube channel promoting a LeBron introductory press conference on July 27th. The staff person created the post to have it ready just in case LeBron picks the Heat. Apparently, the person hit the wrong button and the post went public. The post was visible for about an hour before it was deleted. No word yet on whether the person still has a job with the Heat. The Heat, Golden State, Philadelphia, and Cleveland are the top contenders to sign LeBron. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Unapologetically progressive.
You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. We don't tell you what to think, just what to think about.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This summer, the Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich and Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite are back at Chick-fil-A.
Girl, it's back. We've been waiting. I love that honey pepper pimento sandwich.
And that pineapple dragon fruit and Sprite is everything. It's got that razzle-dazzle that makes you stop and say, okay, wait a minute.
I love the creaminess of the pimento cheese. It's savory, it's bold, it's flavorful.
Our faves are back. High five, girl.
Which fan favorite will you choose? Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Carpal tunnel syndrome. Heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
Let's do this. We're heading into one of the most important election seasons in a generation. And with so much on the line, your health care, your economy, your neighborhood, you deserve more than sound bites. You deserve the full story. KBLA Talk 1580 is your trusted voice for political coverage, commentary, and conversation. From local races to national headlines, we bring you the insight and perspective you need to make sense of it all and make your voice heard. Between now and November, a lot will happen. A lot will change. But one thing won't. KBLA Talk 1580 will be right here, keeping you informed, keeping you engaged, and keeping it real. KBLA Talk 1580, the place for politics.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
Yeah, we're talking with Shar Jossell, the president of the National Association of Black Journalists, Los Angeles, and it's a rough environment. So you said yes, you think they should be regulated. We agree on that. It doesn't seem right that I don't want to say mainstream, because we're not mainstream. We're independent journalists, but we're still regulated. This station still regulated by the FCC. That we're competing with these folks who it's wild, wild west. So, I mean, is there a push among journalists? Like, how would that even happen? We would need a different administration, I'm guessing.
We would need a different administration, and we also need fearless leaders. We need fearless people that are working behind the scenes as these executives in these boardrooms. And a lot of the times they don't look like you and I. A lot of the times the talent could look like you and I, but the people, the higher up you climb, they don't look like you and I. And so I think that it's going to have to work in tandem. It can't just be reporters and personalities and journalists fighting for this. It's going to take for executives and network presidents to really dig their heels in the sand. And
lawmakers too, I think, because
for sure, yeah.
Who made the rule that the FCC oversees broadcast TV and radio? It was lawmakers.
Yeah.
I feel like they're a little bit, I could be wrong, but I feel like they're a little bit scared of big tech.
Yeah.
The oligarchy.
Yeah, well, because the oligarchy is unregulated.
Right.
And
they want to stay that way.
And they most certainly, and they probably will, for at least right now. But yeah, it's one of those things where people are going to have to stand firm in their convictions and really get a backbone. I did, tip my hat. I want to give NBC, and I think it was CNN and ABC their credit. Last Thursday, when the Orange Man did his speech, they chose not to air it. And I said, finally, they've been airing all of the stuff unchecked and unchallenged thus far. And so I just think that, as the TikTok kids would say, the saxophones are getting louder. That's the trend. And I really just, like I said, I applaud those three networks, because I was like, finally, they're doing something. They're making some sort of, editorial decision, some sort of newsroom decision to not amplify this fraudulent messaging around election interference and what is it? The 2020 election was stolen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that press conference, which I unfortunately ended up watching, was such a hot mess, and it was all rehashed. But then what does the president do? He threatens NBC, ABC, and CNN, saying that the FCC should take away their broadcast license at a time when we have not just a Republican, but a real zealot. And Brendan Carr. He's not just your garden variety Republican.
No. And I mean, to your earlier point, the FCC is not supposed to be a partisan organization. And so, right now, I don't even think it's necessarily the Orange Man, it's the Heritage Foundation. And so those are the most extreme of the extreme that have weaseled their way into every branch of government. And those are the people that are being the foot soldiers for this particular agenda of censorship and surveillance. And it's scary. It's a little scary. The FBI is raiding journalists' homes for reporting things, So we're in a weird and scary place.
To me, that reminds me of authoritarian governments. It reminds me of what they tell us happens in Russia. I haven't viewed it with my own eyes. It's what they say happens in authoritarian regimes, and they're doing it. And so, the Department of Justice, a week ago, subpoenaed some New York Times journalists for reporting on the jet. The
Qatari jet that they're trying to replace Air Force One with, because the man in the White House was pissed that leaked. They had to come out, and I just learned yesterday, because the New York Times, there were some reporters that were reporting on the fatalities and injuries of soldiers overseas in the war with Iran, and that's when the Pentagon had to release official numbers. But they are livid they're trying to keep us distracted, of course. And
because that war is very unpopular.
It is very unpopular and unnecessary. And it is illegal. Congress did not approve for us to go to war.
Spent, I think, close to $40 billion so
Yep.
far. So yes, so you're getting a subpoena for doing a story.
Yeah.
And as you said, FBI rating. I mean, what do we as individual journalists? What does the NABJ suggest, if there is a suggestion? How are we meant to be pushing back against this kind of repression? What can you actually do?
I think people are still figuring it out. I know even as president, I'm still a little rattled about how Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested earlier this year. Don Lemon, here in Los Angeles at a Grammy party, was heading back up to his hotel room when he was accosted by ICE, and hearing their firsthand account of what something like that was like. I think that everybody's still trying to figure it out because we're at a precarious situation, because we're at the intersections of Blackness and journalism. I think that adds an additional layer of how do we protect ourselves. And I think everybody's figuring out what that looks like for themselves. I don't think there's one blanket answer I could offer for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're right. We're figuring it out, but I like to bring it up because all of us need to crowdsource our brains on this.
Mm-hmm.
It is scary. I've decided that, I'm just going to keep talking.
Yeah.
I've decided I'm going to be brave, even if I don't feel like it. But I like to remind our KBLA delegation, I am not suicidal.
Yeah.
If I go MIA in prison or, I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? I mean, you're in some sense a more high-profile target, as a president of NABJ, and also, an activist and GLAAD and other organizations like that. How do you deal? What's your way of dealing with that fear?
I mean, I try to just focus on what's in front of me right now, because I can be quite the projector of oh my gosh, this is happening, so this will happen, and this. And then as a student of news, and a student of the world rather, I do struggle with differentiating the world's truths versus my lived experience and my truth, and pattern recognition within that. But sometimes it gets hard to differentiate the two, because I'm constantly reading headlines. I'm constantly, reporting and writing on things, and and then I'm getting the opinion journalism from, the Instagram and TikTok, and this looks like 1933 Germany and so while I can entertain those thoughts, I just have to focus on what's in front of me right now. And that might not be the smartest course of action for some people, but for me, it's what's keeping my feet planted on the ground.
Well, it's what the Buddhists tell us. It's what the mindfulness experts tell us to do, right? Be present.
Yeah, but I'm just like you. I'm forging forward. I'm not going to, cower. I'm going to forge forward and keep doing my job until, whatever is whatever.
On that Ida B. Wells stuff.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I'm also seeing that the New York Times reported, I hadn't seen this, that the Trump administration has now issued third-party subpoenas. They want communications not only from the journalists' phones, they want text messages of their relatives, their spouses, and their parents. So they're broadening this investigation, and this is around that Qatari jet story, which seems almost it doesn't even seem like the kind of story that would get you in trouble. We're reporting on something.
All because he's embarrassed. That's literally all this is a bruised ego, because he's embarrassed.
Yeah, but that's
scary.
Now you're going to go after my mama?
Yeah.
Because of a story I wrote?
And it's sending a message to every other journalist, whether you're backed by an institution like the New York Times, or you're an independent or citizen or freelance journalist. It is sending a message to all of us. If you can't have the institutional protection of a publication like the New York Times, it's you might want to think twice about updating your blog, independent journalist. Who's going to protect you? And it's scary, but I think that we all have a responsibility to keep doing our jobs. Because where there's a will, there's a way. And there are still judges, there are still attorneys, there are still systems of power that are still for the people. I do believe that not everybody has been bought and sold. A lot of them have, but I don't think everybody has.
Yeah, that's fair. And I also would add that we are the storytellers. That's what we do. We are, you call it a cult of a personality, or the charisma, whatever it is. whether you're writing on a keyboard or talking on a mic, we are the storytellers.
We are.
And so you're not going to out-storytell us.
Mm-mm. And you're not going to intimidate us.
Right. I know it's almost like I see some members of the mainstream media are a little bit semi-radicalized in terms of like they're going, wait a minute, their little illusion about everything being fair and balanced is starting to get
it's scary. Look what's happening with CBS. With Barry Weiss in charge. Like, it's scary. There have been journalists that have left. There have been executive producers, I believe, of 60 Minutes that have left because they're being pressured by the higher-ups to, bury the truth or put one side of a story out. And they're like, this is not what I stand for. I look at even like Elizabeth Hasselbeck, of all people, is now on CBS this morning. I'm squinting at like how Gail is doing. Like, how you doing, Gail? Like I'm squinting because that has been a total overhaul since the Ellison family has taken, and Barry Weiss has taken charge of that network.
And to your point, Barry Weiss has almost no experience in journalism. To be put in charge of a newsroom when you're basically a conservative influencer is crazy work.
It is. But she will be the foot soldier of the work that the Ellison family and the Heritage Foundation and the Trump administration wants done. I only scratch my head because like a lot of people that I know amongst my generation that watch CBS are watching it for like Big Brother, like entertainment shows. CBS News, I always have viewed CBS News as like an older, like a more mature audience.
Yeah, it's like the old guy of the networks.
Yeah, so I don't know what type of influence that would have on, the general public if there's, 80-year-olds watching the news. I don't know what, what I'm saying? They're not getting Gen Z at CBS News.
But also it's just, it's indicative of not only they're doing the bidding of the Ellison family.
Yeah.
Who are now the owners, but also the direct influence of the president.
For
like
sure.
those 60 Minutes stories, it was like, no, that's not, Trump doesn't want that.
Yeah.
So now the president is controlling the chief of, directly controlling. We know they've had influence in the past. It was more implied. This is direct control.
And even with all of the networks, a few weeks ago, I interviewed Miss Pat and Jordan E. Cooper for the Miss Pat show. And if you watch the Miss Pat show that once was on BET Plus, because that's ended and they folded all of BET's programming into Paramount Plus, I asked them, like, will the show and the very specific writing that the Miss Pat show has, is that going to be compromised moving forward? Because it's not on BET Plus. It's now folded into Paramount Plus. And this was the same week that Paramount Plus had platformed the UFC fight on the White House lawn when that one fighter insulted our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama.
Right.
And so I'm like, how is some of this programming going to coexist on this platform when like shows like the Miss Pat show are kind of pushing up against some of these ideas? And I know like RuPaul's Drag Race is on Paramount Plus. Like, I just wonder like the censorship and potential censorship, like how are those those ideas going to coexist when the Ellison family is at the helms of Paramount?
Right. And of course I'm over here saying to me, Barry Weiss, whatever her name is, Barry Weiss in charge of CBS Newsroom with no experience in the news. Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham, now going for U.S. Senate on a permanent basis. This is DEI.
And it's dynasty DEI. Building. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, dynasty building, indeed.
And I also push back against the DEI claim because DEI, you still have to be qualified. But I get like, fighting fire with fire because
you're correct.
How they frame DEI is like you just get ushered in based on identity politics. So I get saying that like she's a DEI hire, but she's unqualified, and it's like, what is going on? And where's Mitch McConnell? While we're on the topic, So.
Yeah, well, I was thinking more Dead Employees Initiative. No, but you're right.
Oh, for DEI.
No, but you're right to push back because that's one of my pet peeves about people when they describe DEI. DEI doesn't mean they give you a job.
Right.
It means you get to know about the job. So you also get to apply if you are qualified.
But that goes hand in hand with how the influence works. They have bastardized language like DEI and bastardized language like woke and all these different types of things where it's like we can't even, a lot of us are even hesitant to use it in the way that it's intended because they have been so successful in their messaging with ruining the term and ruining the word. And so, yeah.
Well, we got work to do. Shar Jossell is here. She is the current president of NABJ LA. She's a journalist, award-winning journalist, and much more. We'll continue the conversation only right here.
More of First Things First with Dominique Diprima when we come forward.
Listen up, KBLA delegation. We have something you need to hear. Right now, you may qualify for low-cost home internet. And we're not talking about a catch. This is real. Many internet service providers offer low-cost internet plans if anyone in your household is enrolled in CalFresh, Medi-Cal, SSI, or is income eligible. There are a lot of families in our community who deserve to be connected. Here's all you do. Call 844-461-7893. That's the Get Connected call center. Real people ready to help you enroll today. Or go online to internetforallnow.org to find a provider near you. You may also qualify for a low-cost computer through Human IT. Connectivity is not a luxury. In 2026, it's a necessity. And you deserve access just like everybody else. Call 844-461-7893. That's 844-461-7893. KBLA's got you. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our website at KBLA1580.com. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 in partnership with the California Emerging Technology Fund, CETF.
Gas prices got you down. LADWP customers get a rebate of up to $4,000 when you buy a used electric or plug-in hybrid vehicle. Installing an EV charger at your home? Get a rebate for that too, up to $1,500. Visit ladwp.com/EV today and start saving. That's ladwp.com/EV.
The Sickle Cell Community Consortium Warrior Convention, sponsored in part by Agios and Pfizer, is July 22nd through 26th. Sickle cell education, entertainment, and family fun. Free hotel scholarships are available. Register now at sicklecellconvention.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Knock, knock, Capital One Bank guy.
Wow, Charles Barkley?
I just moved into the neighborhood. Can I borrow some Wi-Fi?
Sure, Chuck. That's what the Capital One Cafe is here for, open 7 days a week.
Oh, can I use your ATM? My dog walker only takes cash.
Anything for a neighbor.
Can I try the catchphrase?
Sure, take it for a spin.
There's no fees or minimums on Capital One checking accounts.
Nice, Chuck. I'll take it from here. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Visit CapitalOne.com/bank guide for details. Capital One and a member FDIC.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique Diprima on First Things First.
All right, I'm gonna have you put on your National Association of Black Journalists hat for a moment, Shar Jossell. If somebody wants to join, if they're a journalist and they want to join, or if they're not a journalist and they want to support, what should they do?
They should visit NABJLA.org. And, you know, the umbrella is expanded for our organization. We have publicists that are members. We even have influencers that are members. So it's not as linear, you know, it's still, the foundation is journalism. I want to be clear, but journalism is, you know, a living word. It is evolving and shaping, and we want to keep up with the times and make sure that we have comprehensive personal and professional development and workshops that, training journalists in AI tools and website building, but we also have our fun. Last night we had a trivia night. It was so fun. Just for community building. It was so much
great.
fun.
I love that. And here you are in the morning. Love it.
Yes.
So NABJ.org.
Yes.
And then
NABJLA.
NABJLA.org.
Yes.
Okay. And then for you brought up Don Lemon and Georgia Fort, who was on this show, and not at all coincidentally, the Department of Justice also arrested, a bunch of other people who were all Black Lives Matter grassroots activists.
Yeah.
How can is there a journalist fund? Is there a way to support people that are, because those cases are still pending. I think Don Lemon is probably fine, but Georgia's a
goodness.
Mama,
with so that would be with NABJ, like the national organization. There are tons of grants and funds that are allotted to journalists who are compromised right now, especially with the sweeping layoffs that are taking place. And so NABJ, the national organization, their website, they have, if you click around, there are all different types of resources, particularly to your point, like speaking to those sort of financial safety nets that oftentimes we need.
And these sweeping layoffs that you're talking about, it's mostly Black journalists, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I chat with AAJA and other organizations, it's so early, like it's skipping my mind. NLGJA, NAHJ. It appears, there are layoffs there, but NABJLA has been disproportionately affected here in the city of Los Angeles, in this blue bubble. As people would say, we have been disproportionately affected with layoffs, with a majority of my members being freelancers and not in newsrooms or consistently in newsrooms. And so,
AAJA being the Asian American.
Yes. And then there's the Hispanic one, and then NLGJA, which is the LGBT one. There's a few different organizations that we coalition build with and that we have chatted with, and majority, at least from my vantage point, NABJLA, the Black Journalists Association, has been disproportionately affected with by layoffs in the greater Los Angeles area.
We're out of style because DEI has now become we can get rid of Black people.
Yeah. And even Black people that weren't hired under DEI, I think we're just swept up in that dustpan.
Well, it's what you were saying about terminology. Now, DEI just means a Black person.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep.
I mean, it's the new N-word, actually.
If you are my coworker, it is inherently by DEI. I feel like that is the
that's what they do with language. It's very, as you said, it's very effective. I've even noticed it on some of the more left-leaning networks. MSNBC has a couple shows. No more Black people. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's happening, and it's very sad.
We'll be back, though.
We will, but it's very sad because we need to eat, and we need health insurance, and we need money, and so many of us are so talented and bright and love the field of journalism. It is so deeply unfair what's happening right now.
Indeed, it is. Shar Jossell, man, time flies. Okay, it's time for Tavis Smiley. Tell us real quick your handle.
You can find me everywhere at Shar Says So. That's Shar with an S, Says So, and that's across any and all social media platforms. You can find me. So come say hi.
It's time for the Tavis Smiley Show, and it's going to be a good one today. So we are passing the mic. Like my mama, the late great poet laureate Diane Diprima used to say, the ultimate famine is the starvation of the imagination. Until next time, a KBLA delegation, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York City officials say 4 people have died in a Legionnaire's disease outbreak on the Upper East Side, with 76 reported cases. Mayor Zaran Mamdani is reacting.
I'm heartbroken by the loss of our fellow New Yorkers and send my deepest condolences to their loved ones.
Health officials say cooling towers linked to the bacteria have been disinfected, and no new cases have been reported since July 15th. Historic Shiloh Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. has welcomed Reverend Essentino A. Lewis Jr. as its new senior pastor. Lewis now becomes the 7th senior pastor of the landmark church, a longtime fixture in civil rights and community advocacy. And social media influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate are facing newly unsealed sex trafficking, rape, and assault charges in Florida tied to allegations from women in the United Kingdom. British authorities are seeking their extradition. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Beat the heat without breaking the bank at Wild Rivers Water Park in Irvine. Summer's hottest days mean the coolest savings at wildrivers.com. With 25 attractions to thrill and chill, Wild Rivers delivers sun and fun for everyone. Visit wildrivers.com for more information.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A two-run homer by Dodgers third baseman Max Muncy was enough for the Dodgers to squeeze out a 2-1 win Tuesday night in Philadelphia. The Dodgers wrap up their three-game series in Philadelphia tonight. Somebody in the Miami Heat social media department got a little excited about the possibility of LeBron rejoining the team as a free agent. An announcement was displayed